Hello and welcome to another session of how to become a financial analyst. Today we will continue with the if statements. In our previous sessions we have done if statements, and then we have done multiple or if in the loop, and now today we will be doing if and if and or. So let's start the things. This is the very first question right in front of me. So this is a question number one. This is what I want to do first, which says that investor sells the stock only if the prices has gone up 3 consecutive days, including the current day. So these are the days. This is the result of that, whether the prices are going up or down, and here I have to do. So I cannot put the formula into first two because it says the third consecutive day. So I have to do over here, and today we'll be doing if and if and if and as you can see, that means that all conditions must be true. If all conditions are true, then it will work. Okay, and the syntax starts with like this: is equals to if bracket start and bracket start, and then you can write everything here. So let's do the formula is equals to here. So my third function is I want. So let's start put the formula, and I want to sell the stock if these 3 consecutive days are on the up. So as I've told you that we'll start the syntax where if and everything, if it is all condition must be true, then you can see the result of a condition which is true, otherwise it will be false. So let's start the condition. So if bracket start and bracket start. So what is my first logical test as it appears here? Because in if and I can put multiple logic tests as compared to the simple if, where I can only use one logical test, and based on that I have to decide that whether this condition is true or false. But here I can have multiple. So first is one thing I want to see is this cell is equal to up number 2, and as I go put a comma, you can see logical 2 is there, and then I will say I want to see this cell is equals to up colon and then comma, and now it says third one, and I want to see this is equals to up. If these 3 conditions are met, bracket close, then what is if it is true? So true means I want to say that if it is true, then I will say sell it. Otherwise for false, I will say don't sell colon bracket close and enter. So now over here the answer is don't sell. Why? Because when I put F2, first is down and the 2 are up, so the answer will be no. So now let's copy this formula over here, and the answer is sell it. Why? Because now if I put the F2 formula, all 3 ups are highlighted, and that's how I can copy this till the end, and now it's telling me I can see the reason why it's sell, why it's don't sell. Okay, so now what I've done the first part of the question where investor sells the stock only if the prices has gone up 3 consecutive days, including the current day. Now let's add another situation, and let's add question number 2 into question number 1, and then there's another 3 conditions condition, and it says and the prices also increase by at least 10%. If the prices also increase by 10%, only then you can sell. So now I don't have to work for 3 conditions, I have to work for 6 conditions. So very simple, I will do nothing, I will go over here in between and I say comma, and the moment I say comma, you can see that logical 4 has been highlighted, and I will say okay, this number is greater than or equal to 0.10, comma, and this number be greater than or equal to 0.1, comma, and this cell should be greater than or equal to. Why greater than equal to? Now because we are talking about the value by 1, that's all, and say enter. So now it says don't sell. Let me copy the situation, and why here still sell, say okay, because as you can see the 3 are the ups, and all in 3 days the price is gone up by minimum 10 cents, and over here also it is true, sell it. Why? Because same situation. And over here, first of all, there is a down and there is a 0.02. So let's do one thing. Let me call it up. But is the situation changes? No, because it's sales is in negative. Okay, is it 0.05? No. Why? Because this is at least 10%, not the 5%. So that's why over here F2 there are 3 ups. They are all 3 positive, but even the increase is not by 10%, only 5%. So that's why it's saying no. Okay. Let's do another example of if and. And this is very interesting situation. Let me explain you. So we call it a gross margin analysis, and we have a SKU or the items. There's standard gross margin. There's standard, not the actual. And then we have a revenue for the actual month or a quarter, whatever you call it. And then we have an actual cost of goods sold, and we have calculated the actual gross margin. So these 3 columns are based on actual, and then based on these 3 ones there is an actual gross margin which is over here. Now I want to compare this column G with this column C. This was my standard cost of goods sold, standard gross margin, and this is what has come. So what I have done, I'll put a simple mathematical formula which you can say that C column minus G column and divide by the C column, and here it says it's a percentage. So here gross margin is 5% up than the standard. I'm okay. Here my company and my bosses will not be happy because it is less, 4% less than the standard. Here it was required 54%, and here it comes, actual comes 56. So gross margins are increasing. Okay, so I want a decrease in the gross margin. Start. So there is another exercise which is very interesting, and I call it a gross margin analysis. What is we are doing here? There's a item numbers. There's a standard gross margin which we have decided in the previous year budgets. Then there's an actual revenue for the month, quarter, whatever you wanted, and then there's an actual cost of goods sold for the against this actual revenue, and then we have calculated the actual gross margin based on our cost and revenue, and then finally we have calculated the actual gross margins based on our actual revenue, cost of goods sold, and over here is a gross margin. Now what is gross margin saying? If my gross margin standard is 51 and actual is 48, which is not good, my gross margins should go at least stay at the standard or go up, not down. So that's why there's a 5% variance between the standard cost gross margin and the actual gross margins. Now what is my boss want to, because let's say I'm working for a big company which has 200, 300, 400, 500 SKU. So what my boss demands me, he says that you have to do things. If the gross margin is 0 or less than 0, which is a negative, I want the details. If the gross margin is greater than 0 but less than 5%, then call it good. But if the gross margin is greater than 5% plus, then call it excellent. So let's put a formula over here, and again we will use if and if and means that every formula should be this. So let's start the formula, and we will say is equals to if bracket start and bracket start this cell. If this cell is greater than 0, it is greater than 0, but second condition is if again this cell is less than or equal to 5%. if these two conditions are met, if it is greater than 0 but less than 5%, as per point number 2, what I will call it? I will call it good. So if it is true, what I will do? I will say it is good. But if it is not criteria number 2, then what I will do? So I will say, okay, let me put another if, bracket start, and then again I will say if this cell, which is the variance between the gross margin, is greater than or equal to 0.05, then if it is true, then do what? Write it excellent. And if it is not good, and if it is not excellent, so naturally it is what? It is to be bring in the details of the cost for analysis. So here, because it's matching the first criteria, so system says bring in the details. And now if I copy this everywhere, you can see that there's a details, there's good, and there's an excellent. Okay, and again what I've done here, I've used a conditional formatting. For example, for detail I can go here and I can go into home ribbon and I say conditional formatting over here. If it is equal to what? If it is equals to detail, then okay, then put the red color and say okay. So now this is how one by one I've gone. So green is excellent for me, good is blue, and red is this. So this is if and we have done the gross margin analysis. Now let's do if and or. And what is if and or? If and or means that if any one condition is true, it will be executed. Okay, so let's say let's read this question first. Any student who scores at least 95 in any of the exams get a bonus which is 1% of the total. Okay, so what I will do, let's change it to, so what I will do, I have to calculate a bonus here, and on what basis? In any one subject, if the student got more than 95. So I will put my cursor over here, so is equals to if bracket start or bracket start. Okay, this cell is greater than or equal to, I don't want to put 95 because if my seniors change the criteria, I can only change one cell and the formula will be working. Is this cell, and because I'll be copying everywhere, so I want to copy comma, what is the second test? Or if this cell is greater than or equal to 95, comma, this cell is greater than or equal to 95 $sign. Fourth, this cell is greater than or equal to 95 $, bracket close, comma. If it is all true, then do what? Then say sum from here till here multiply by 0.02, means add the total and multiply it by 0.02. Otherwise, if it is not, then do what? Do nothing, 0, because there is no bonus for those students, and close the bracket and say enter. And system has not calculated anything over here, and here calculated. Why? Because over here, if I see, you can see that this is 90, more than 95. Here it is 95. Here it is 96. Here it is 94, not 95, so nothing has been calculated. Over here there's 95. Okay, and over here there's 95 over here. Then there's 95 and 96 too. Nothing here. 91, 92 is the highest, and here the first is 95. So based on these highlighted marks has been calculated, and if I want to calculate a grand total, now there are two different options. One is the most easiest way, where you will say sum, bracket start, and from here to here, and copy it everywhere. Okay, and this is the grand total. Otherwise, what is the second option? Second option is you copy the whole formula like this, exactly do everything here in grand total, and then over here say other than 0, if there is no bonus, then over here replace 0 with plus the 4 terms of exams is equals to put the sum sign, bracket start, add 1 2 3 4, bracket close. So this is how you will add the bonus plus the grand total through if and or functions. Okay, so it's up to you. If you want to practice this thing, then you may go with this difficult way. Otherwise, sum formula is the simplest formula to put the total here is equal to sum, bracket start, and copy it till the end. Okay, last exercise of if and or. These are my customers. So I have around 500 customers, and we have done business with them for the month of Jan, for the month of Feb, and for the month of March. Now, what is the criteria? My boss wants me to calculate that if in any one of the month, any of my customer has done a business of 50,000 or more, then what I will do? Call it that it is into a category A, otherwise it stays in category B. So for your convenience, what I've done, I've already put the formula over here so that you can, when you look into the video, you can easily understand why I'm putting all those cells. So is equals to if bracket start or bracket start, this cell is greater than or equal to this 50,000 $, and comma, this cell is greater than or equal to 50,000. My third is this month of March is greater than or equal to 50,000, and the $, bracket close, comma. If it is true, then say category A plus. If it is no, then just call it category B, colon, bracket close, and enter, and simply copy, and all those 500 you have identified them. And as you can see that A plus categories are already highlighted. How? Simply do nothing, go over here into the home ribbon, say conditional formatting, and anything which is equals to this category, just write category here and select the color of your choice, and simply says okay, and this will be done. Okay. So I hope that you have learned something new about if and if and or. If you have any specific example where you want me to use if and or if and or scenario, then please feel free to leave a comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Please subscribe and press the bell button so that you can be informed once the new video comes in, and please also circulate or invite your friends so that they also get benefit from these professional skills videos. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.